All right. So yesterday we got to the destruction of Sodom, and in the Malachim, after they go, and these guys they want to assault Lot now because he's trying to defend. We're on page 86. So the Malachim say to Lot, "Okay, now you got to picture this, guys. We're in downtown Manhattan. You're in downtown London, California, Toronto. I don't care where you are. You're in Hong Kong. You're in a flourishing society, one of the most flourishing city you could possibly. You're in where's that place called where they all go by the Arabs and so what's in Dubai? You're in Dubai. You're in Dubai, right? Which by the way, Torah anytime, people. I will not be here for the next what's today? Today's Wednesday, so Thursday I don't give shir anyway. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday I won't be giving the Parsha shir, but Emir Tzashem will be back next Wednesday. So you're in Dubai, and these malachim say to him, take a look at starting pasuk Yud Beis. Vayomer anoshim elot. Od milacha po. Who else have we got here? Chasan, son-in-law, vanechov, nosecha, sons and daughters, achol asher l'cha be'ir, hotzei min hamakom. Get him out of here. Ki mashchisim anachnu es hamakom hazeh, we're destroying this place. Ki gadla tza'akosam es pnei Hashem, ve'yishacheu Hashem l'shachasa. Hashem has sent us to destroy this city. A flourishing metropolis, and you're telling the guy, get out, because it's gonna turn into a parking lot very soon. Vayeira, Lot has no trouble believing it. He knows. He knows. There are different opinions that he know at this point they're malachim or not. Vayeira Lot vayedaber el chasonav lochei benosav. He talked to his son-in-laws. Vayomer kumutzu min hamakom hazeh ki mashchis Hashem eser. Hashem's destroying the city. Vayihi mitzachek beinei chasonav. They thought he was a mocker, a joker, a jester. They didn't take him seriously. So the plain meaning of not taking seriously is, it's like these guys in downtown New York, the world's coming to an end. You got some vagrant who's got an empty bottle of Johnny Walker dangling out of his pocket. The world, 30 days to destruction, to doomsday. Nobody takes the guy seriously. That's what I say. So don't say, oh, by the way, Hashem's overturning this place. Okay, yeah, all right, okay. And so they look at, come on, another father-in-law being laughed at by his son-in-laws, No, they don't take it. But at a deeper level, and this needs an explanation, is because they heard him say, Mashchis Hashem es hamako. Hashem is destroying the city. Hashem is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is the name of mercy. The merciful God is going to destroy the city. Most people wouldn't talk that way. You say, yeah, God, you would have said Elokim, Midas Hadin. He uses the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is Midas HaRachamim. So they're laughing at him because he probably said that he actually pronounced it properly. He didn't pronounce it the way we do. He pronounced it like the witnesses pronounce it, right? So he actually said Hashem's name. They say, oh, come on, that's the name of mercy. Why would he be using that name? Whether they understood or not, but why would Lot be using it? The answer is, the Mefarshim explain, imagine there's a child, and the child is hungry. And the father's coming over to bring him food. And some guy gets in the father's way and says, I don't want you to feed your son. He says, get out of my way, buddy. I got to feed my son. He says, no, I'm not letting you feed your son. Get out of my way so I can feed my son. And so the father has no choice but to beat the guy up in order to get his son to feed his son. Was the father being cruel or merciful? Was that Midas Hadin or Midas HaRachamim that beat the guy up? Right. It was Midas HaRachamim. Why? Because you have to Rachamim on your son. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Midas HaRachamim. He wants to bring down good things for the world. What's blocking the flow of good energy to the world, where God, the hashpah of all blessings in the world, what's blocking it from coming to the rest of mankind? The cruelty of the people of Sodom. So when he's destroying Sodom, he's destroying it for the benefit of mankind. That's Midas HaRachamim. That's Midas HaRachamim. If a doctor has to cut off somebody's leg because it's got gangrene, otherwise the person's going to die, at that moment that's Midas HaRachamim. It's not Midas HaRachamim, it's Midas HaRachamim. So he says, Hashem, ki Hashem, what do you call it, is Hashem is destroying the city. Now, what did the Malachim say to Lot? Ukemo hashachar Allah, as morning came up, Vayitzu hamalachim belot lemor. Say 7 lines on the bottom. They urged Lot, saying the following: Kum, kaches ishtecha v'shtei bnosecha. Take your wife and your 2 daughters. Hanim tzos penti safet belvanir. There you go with the rest of the city. Now take him and go. And then there says vayisma ama. How do you? Let's look at the trup over the word vayisma ama. What is it? Shalshelis, right? How do you read it when you're vayisma ama? That's like somebody says to you, "Hey, buddy, grab your pants and get out of here. You're a rich guy. You got a lot of holdings. You're a wealthy man." It says, "Grab your pants and anything you want. Grab your pants and a bottle of booze and go, because we're trashing the joint." You mean now? Let's go. Can I just take? No. That's what's happening over here. That's what's happening over here. Hey, I got to leave it all behind? Are you kidding? He's looking over. He's got bank accounts. He's got gold. He's got who knows what. Get moving, buddy. Grab your baseball glove and go. I remember my 8th grade teacher, I told you the guys this once, my 8th grade teacher, she said to us once, she said, "What would you do if your house was burning down? What would you grab?" Now to me it was Dovid Parsha. Yeah, I grabbed my baseball glove. I mean, what do you grab in your house? What else was it? And she said to us, "I would grab the pictures, family pictures, because that's the one thing that can't be replaced." I'm like, who cares about pictures? But I care what I looked like when I was 2 years old. Get my baseball glove, will ya? So that was, every woman would grab family pictures. When it comes to pictures, women get very serious, boy. When it comes, that's the dread fear when we've had weddings, our kids have gotten married. It's like this is serious business now. The photographer, he's the main guy at the wedding. The rabbi who's officiating is nice. The caterer, he's good too. The bartender, as important as he is, but the guy on top, by far, the guy top of the pyramid is a photographer. And I haven't got the patience for it. And it's always like, everybody smile. What am I smiling at? I'm in pain. What do I got to smile for? This clown is taking pictures. What? I'm gorgeous. There you go. Take a picture of me. There we are. There we are. So Lot's like, hey, whoa. Vayachaziku anoshim biyado v'yarishu had shtei v'nosav b'chemlas Hashem olav vayotziu v'nechu michutz la'ir. They take him and they put him outside. The angels take him, the malachim take him. Page 30, Tamid around page 86. So the angels take him and they place him outside the city. He can't go. You got to understand what's going on over here. My whole life is here. You ever see pictures of Dubai? Everything is gold over there. Just gold. There's always these Arabs with gold shops just full of gold. Right, and everything. What the police drive? What, Lamborghinis or something? Yeah, I could get used to that. And the next thing you know, boom, out. Why? We're trashing the job. Yeah, but I got out, and they put him and his wife and 2 daughters outside the city. That's, you got to get a perspective. What would you feel like if you were told? There's people always ask about the Jews who didn't leave Germany, even when they saw the writing on the wall. How easy is it to just get up, pick up, and walk away? Take your shirt, your shoes, and go. I mean, how easy for a person is to do that? Again, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? Your whole life is gone. As he put him outside the city. Now pay attention carefully. This is the point I want to get to today. Go run for your life. Don't look back. Don't stop. Run off to the mountains. So, this idea, Lot is told, don't look back. You're not allowed to look back. What's the idea? Why can't Lot look back? What is the idea of don't look back? So, there are several approaches here. The city's about to be destroyed. And the Shekhinah is there. God's presence is there. The Malachim is really God's presence to destroy the city. So the simple approach of don't look back is you don't deserve to see that punishment. You don't deserve to see that. You're not much better than the whole bunch of them. The Gemara says if somebody was suspected of something, he probably did it. And if he didn't do all of it, he probably did part of it. And if he didn't do part of it, so that he saw somebody else doing it and he rejoiced. He was happy about it. It's like the kid in class who's laughing. It was really bothering you when the guy put the glue on the teacher's chair, so you would have been upset. You wouldn't have laughed and enjoyed every minute of it. You're not much better than them. Imagine a father with 3 sons. There's a father who has 3 sons. And the parents are going out for the evening. And obviously they say to the kids, they know the rules. The minute the kids are out of the house, the kids leave the house. And as soon as the kids leave the house, as soon as the parents leave the house, the 2 boys go into the living room, which is off limits, and they engage in big-time wrestling, right? Which is always forbidden in the house, right? Reuven and Shimon start wrestling in the living room. And they're goofing around in the living room, which is off limits. And the next thing you know, Reuven hurls Shimon, and Shimon goes right through, knocks over a very expensive lamp. All right? Reuven threw Shimon, and Shimon knocks over the lamp, right? Okay. In the meantime, Levi is upstairs learning. Levi's the 3rd brother. He's upstairs in his room learning, okay? Parents come home, the lamp is broken, right? Okay. Who broke the lamp? Well, Reuven threw Shimon through the lamp, or the window, as the case may be, whatever it is. Reuven's going to get a spanking. Okay, Reuven gets a spanking. What should Shimon do when the father is spanking Reuven? What's the best thing for Shimon to do? Get as far away as possible, right? Sometimes it's one brother's getting spanked, the other brother's kind of peeking around the corner going like this, like that, with the tongue out. And when the father sees him, then he gets tagged also, right? 1 second. So Reuven is at fault. The example, they were playing with the Nerf football, right? That was Nerf tackle, Nerf football. And Reuven threw it, Shimon ducked, and it hit the lamp and knocked it over. So Reuven gets spanked because he threw. A father comes home. Who threw the football? Reuven did. Okay, you get spanked. Who did you throw? Shimon was there too. As soon as Reuven's getting it, Shimon has to get as far away as possible. While the father's spanking Reuven, if Shimon is nearby, he's going to get in trouble. Get away. And while it's happening, suddenly Levi comes down. He's in the middle learning Bab Metzia. He's on Halach, right? And he comes down to get an apple in the kitchen. And he walks right past while the spanking is going. And the father doesn't even pay attention to him because he knows his son Levi. Levi's always learning, and he didn't do anything wrong. Sdom is Reuven. You get the spanking. Lot is Shimon. Get out. Don't look back. You don't deserve to watch the punishment. You're not much better. You deserve to get the punishment. And Levi is Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him exactly what's going on. He sees this fire. He sees a pillar of smoke coming up from Sdom because he's Levi. You have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. 1 second. I'll get to you 1 second, Mayor. That's idea number 1. What are we going to ask?
I mean, it seems to be that Shimon also is liable because
he is.
The rules.
He did. One is more, right. And Lot's no tzaddik at this point. We're saving, we'll see why he gets saved in a second. But by the skin of his teeth. You made it by the skin of your teeth. I told you one of the most devastating moments of my life was when my brother, who was a Levi, I was either Reuven or Shimon, a combination of both. My brother was Levi. So I would go into his room and bother him while he was learning. He was either learning Gemara or studying physics, right? Neither was my pursuit at that stage. And so I was, 13, 14, and I'd go into the room and say, let's go play ball. And he'd say, Dovid, get away, because he's learning. So it first started with me flicking light switches. I'd flick the light switch in the room. He'd say, Dovid, cut it out. I said, let's go play. Get away. Just get away. And all right, it didn't work. So then I would get bolder, and I'd come closer, and it was one of these. I'd start flicking his so it always, stop it. And always like that. And this is like the real tzaddik. Everything good about him. So I was one time, I flicked it. So he gets up, he jumps up. He's older than me. Jumps up. One punch, real hard, right down on the shoulder. Really killed, right there. That's what he would get me. It would always be one punch on the shoulder, right? So he punches me on the shoulder real hard, like this. My father, as always, was reading the Wall Street Journal. My father was like this, and I come walking through, and I said, Dad, Yosef punched me. He never even put down the paper. Oh, here, Don't bother people, you won't get punched. like that. I was devastated. Like maybe he started, maybe it was his fault for once. No. It was clear who the culprit was over here. So one time my brother got in trouble. I was so happy. My brother got in trouble because his grades dipped. His grades started dipping. He came home, he had like a 92 on a test. And my parents like, what happened on the test? He goes, yeah, I didn't know anything. Then I think he came home with a 90. Like that was like a meeting behind a closed door. I was so happy. I got a 76. We went to a restaurant that night. I was so happy he got in trouble. You have no idea. It was wonderful. So the what do you call it? The over here, you don't deserve to look back. You're not much better than them. We'll see soon why Lot gets saved. But you're not much better, number one. Number two, don't look back means, hey, that's your source of Vayeira. You're supposed to be doing tshuva now, buddy. Right? We're getting you out of here to do tshuva. Don't look back like, oh boy, you mean no more casinos? You mean no more of that running around? You mean no more of that stuff, all that naughtiness? No more of that? Yeah, well, if you're longing for it, that means you haven't separated from it. Don't look back. Don't regret any of it. It wasn't worth anything. It was that's destruction over there. That's destruction of a town that's your own personal destruction. Don't look back. Don't look back. Get past it. Move on in life. Number three, there's a lesson for us. We did mess up in our past. We have messed up. Yeah, we've messed up. None of us are perfect. Don't look back. You're past it now. The fact that you're here means you've got past it. Yes, I messed up. What, are you going to live with it your whole life? Oh, I wish I would have never eaten something, a cheeseburger. But you did, and you didn't know at the time. So what are you dwelling on it for? What are you going to gain by that? What are you looking back for? Don't look back. Don't look back. You're in a place where even tzaddikim gemorim. The Gemara says, where Balei Tshuvas stand, tzaddikim gemorim don't stand. So what do you say? That's Yetzer Hara, gentlemen. That's Yetzer Hara. That's the evil inclination. If you're looking back, boy, I wish I would have known about this sooner. I would have never done this. I never would have done that. Who's telling you that? Why are you thinking of those days? That's wrong. That's right. You're doing an Vayeira now. You're doing an Vayeira. Why are you thinking about it? But look where you are now. You don't believe there's a God in the world? I understand. Did God put you here? Did God put you there, or you put yourself there? Kosh Baruch Hu put you there. So what do you want? You got problems with the Kosh Baruch Hu? Don't look back. What are you looking back for? Number 4, he says to Lot, this I find very powerful. If you open that door over the Zach, thanks. I find this very powerful. He says to Lot, don't look back because the Shekhinah is there. You don't deserve to see the Shekhinah, right? The Shekhinah is behind you. So I think there's another layer of meaning here. Not that one, that door over there, that one over there. Yeah, thanks. I think what it means is the Shekhinah is always behind us. Meaning, if you look back, and this especially applies to us, if you look back and you wonder, how did I end up here? And here doesn't just have to be an Ohr Somayach at this stage of life. Every stage of life, how did I end up at this stage in life? You'll see that the Shekhinah was behind you. What was behind you, what was leading you almost by the nose was the hand of God. Because a lot of things that we did trying to interfere with God's plan, right? A lot of things we did try to interfere with Hashem. And in spite of ourselves, something good might have happened. Right? Most good things in life is in spite of ourselves. Most not proper things is that's our doing. Right? Well, we view the opposite. We take credit for the good and we blame someone else for the bad. And it's exactly the opposite. The good is in spite of all of my best efforts to interfere with the Ribbono Shel Olam, and the things that I messed up, that I could take credit for. Yeah, that's for sure. So I'll tell you a personal story. When I was in the yeshiva here, so I started the shidduch process. And so at some point it's got to start, So I was looking for that girl who won the $1 billion lottery, but I never found her. So after a few months, I'd gone out a couple of times. It wasn't what he called. So I was headed for the telephone to call my mother to find out what's doing back in Chicago. If there's any reason, maybe come back to Chicago to look around. On the way to the phone, to go make that phone call, my Rabbi happened to come in that day, and he said, call my wife, because his wife was a shadchan. I was on the way to the phone to call my mother. And just then, he saw me that morning, and he says, call my wife tonight. Right? And it happened to be the lady, the girl, we happened to be this lady who won't let me buy the lottery ticket. You know, that's who it happened to be. So sometimes you're walking away from it. You're walking the opposite direction in life. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, come with me over here. Come with me over here. Says, that's what it means, don't look back. Don't look back means that don't, what do you call it? The shadchan was actually in the neighborhood. Shadchan was in the neighborhood a couple of years ago. He's actually got a real family in the neighborhood. So he was my Rabbi, and they were staying in my neighborhood for a Shabbos. So my wife says to me, listen, we have to go to Shabbos after we have to go over to see them. You know, Shabbos, I mean, we have so much hakara, so we have so much gratitude to them. I said, well, you do. We went. We went. Why did I go? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So what do you call it? Yeah. Then you wonder why she won't let me buy the lottery ticket. All right. So that's the lesson of don't look back. Now there's an absolutely just mind-boggling. Lot runs off to the mountains. Okay, and he goes off to the mountain, and he's there with his daughter. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu overturns Sdom, and Avram Avinu sees it. I'm skipping on ahead. It's the bottom of page 88. Anybody know the significance of the number 88? It's what? Infinity? Yeah. That's significant, but it's not as significant being Patrick Kane's number. He plays for the Blackhawks. So the Gemara Patrick Kane, if you've never heard of him, then you got to do tshuva. But don't look back. So it says, Vayal Lot Mitzar. Right? Lot goes to the place, leaves Tsar. Vayeshev Bahar. He goes to the mountain. Ushtei benos avimo, with his two daughters. Kiyare l'sheves b'tzar. He's afraid to dwell in Tsar because he was worried that Tsar would get destroyed. Top of page 90. Vayeshev ba'ma'orahu ushtei benosav. And he goes into a cave with his daughters. The two daughters, now these are two girls, they're in a cave with their father. Everything that they know has been destroyed. For all they know, the world's been destroyed. Right? For all they know, they see the Sdom has been destroyed. If Manhattan and Dubai are gone, then Pittsburgh is for sure gone. Right? Pittsburgh is for sure gone, and certainly Leeds. Right? You know, these places are gone. There's no way they could have existed. So for all they know, the world as they know it has ceased to exist. Hold for a few minutes there. The world's gone. Vatomer abechira el atzeira. So the older one says to the younger one, Avinu zakein, father is getting old. Ve'ishein ba'aretz lovo aleinu keder kos, there's nobody to marry us. L'cha nashke es avinu yain v'nishke va'imo v'nichaya me'avinu zar. Let's get him drunk and we'll have to sleep with our father and try to produce offspring. Because there are no more men left in the world. Vatashkena es avia yain balaylahu. They get him drunk. Vatova abechir vatishka v'savia v'loyada b'shivcha v'kuma. So she sleeps, the older one sleeps with her father. The big question here is obviously what? What's the biggest question here? What's that? Why? Because otherwise the world's going to end. She got pregnant right away.
I guess, how did Lot not know?
Lot not know was drunk. He was so drunk, by the way, that this is a halachic status. That means the halacha is if you're drunk and you harm somebody when you're drunk, you're responsible. If you're drunk and you damage somebody, you hurt somebody when you're drunk, you do something that could cause damage when you're drunk, according to halacha, you're drunk, you're responsible, unless you were at what's called shechruso shel Lot. You were as drunk as Lot. That means you are completely and utterly unaware of your surroundings. In other words, like your roommate in college, right? You are completely, most guys say, well, what's that? I had plenty of guys like that I knew. Yeah, so, and that's just the teachers, the instructors, even get to the students. So the what do you call it? Shechruso shalot means, by the way, I wanted to correct something. Somebody asked me something yesterday. When I said yesterday about the girls in college, I didn't say don't go to college and get degrees. I didn't say don't go to college and get degrees. You have a college, you should get a degree. You have to have a parnasa. What I was talking about is being in a campus situation. There are plenty of degrees available nowadays, either what's it called, correspondence or in commuter schools. There are plenty of ways that from Jews could get degrees. I wouldn't say about not getting a degree. I was talking about in a campus, putting yourself in a campus, especially a girl, in a campus situation, which is essentially one big magnified Sdom situation. So there are plenty of ways to get degrees nowadays. You can even pay somebody. Can't you pay somebody to take tests for you or get tests online and that sort of thing? Where was it when I was? I don't know if that's kosher. I'm talking about the kosher ways of doing it. Only the kosher ways of doing it. Sure, Kaplan. But at the end of the day, the biggest question here is what? How nasty it is a good question. The Gemara says that they had mitzvah intention. There's something called an Vayeira lishma. They're doing an Vayeira for the sake of a mitzvah. And the classic example is Yael, who ended up killing Sisera, but first she weakened him by having him by getting involved with him, and she weakened. But it was called an Vayeira lishma. Same thing as Esther and Achashverosh. These are all these situations. But there's even a bigger question here. Yes.
Why? My question is why are they in such a rush? Why don't they wait to see?
Because they think they said he's old. We don't know how long he's going to live. He may go any day now, and then nothing's going to happen. Go ahead.
He's so drunk. How is he able to?
There's always that he could do.
Right. The alcohol. How did they get the alcohol?
Where did you get the booze from? Where did the wine come from? I understand. You ran out of your town. The city's being destroyed. Grab something. So my 8th grade teacher grabs the pictures. I grab my baseball glove, and this guy grabs the booze. Let's go. We're all set. We'll look at pictures drunk in a cave. Where do they got the wine from? Well, that's an indication that obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here. Because there's one opinion in the Gemara that luckily they ran into one of the caves. In the old days, they used to store wine in caves. And they happened to, very, very, with Hashgacha Pratis, it was very, very providential that they ran into a cave that happened to have wine. That's one opinion. The other is that the wine got there supernaturally. Well, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts wine in there supernaturally, that means there was no wine in there till they got into the cave. The wine appeared. Well, if the wine appeared in the cave, obviously, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't do miracles so that people could go out and get drunk and do Aveiras. No miraculous wine, right? If the wine appeared in the cave, that means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is a partner in this endeavor. And what's going to end up as a result of this endeavor? Mashiach comes from here. Mashiach comes from Lot's daughter, the first one, Moab. So obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved. Now, why does Mashiach have to come from such a place? Let's see what happens here. The next daughter gets pregnant as well. The first one names him Pasuk Lamed Vav, Vatelet HaBechira ben Vatikra Shmo Moav. Hu Avi Moav ad Hayom. That's the father of Moab, the ancestor of Moav. So there's a remarkable, the Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, I think the Arizal too, others point out that the entire development in the Messianic process, the entire development of Mashiach, first of all, if you could find out from Hashem one thing, if you could ask Hashem one question, what would it be? What would your question be if you could ask Hashem one question? No, not what are the winning numbers on Powerball. No, that's too late, gentlemen, it's too late. Well, you could ask Hashem one thing, what would it be? Who is Mashiach? I wouldn't ask who.
Am I right?
I would ask when. When does Mashiach come? That's what we would really like to know. That's the ultimate secret. It's the ultimate hidden secret. We'd like to know when does Mashiach come? I mean, we've had about enough. I've had about enough. There are too many traffic jams in Yerushalayim. I've had enough. Right, when is the suffering going to end? That's the ultimate secret. The Gemara says, Nichdas yayin, when the wine goes in, what comes out? So the secret comes out. The wine goes into this cave, the secret comes out of this cave. Wine is the gematria of 70. Sod is 70. Nichnas yayin, when a person drinks, yatsa sod, out come the secrets. Right? Most people, when they're drunk, are less discreet than before. Wine goes into the cave, out comes the ultimate secret, which from this cave emerges Mashiach. So the question becomes, why? I mean, that's a pretty, sure, it was a mitzvah, they did a mitzvah, and the wine is supernatural. At the end of the day, we call it incest, right? Welcome to the Oprah Winfrey Show, right? This is, at the end of the day, that's what it's called, right? That's what it's called. Why would Mashiach have to come from there? Even more than that. Let's look, this is on which side, who comes from Moab? With Rus. Okay? That's the female line. That's the woman's line. Comes from, the mother comes from, of Mashiach, comes from Moab. Where does the father come from? Which tribe does he come from? From Yehuda. Okay? Well, let's look at the line over there. The line over there starts with Yehuda and his daughter-in-law Tamar, his former daughter-in-law, who was on a crossroads acting as a harlot when he met her. And he didn't even know it was her. Which, after the fact, was okay because it's a form of you, but the whole thing looked a bit dodgy. Yeah. The next time we meet up with this, is by Boaz. Boaz meets Rus. Ooh, there's a whole discussion. She's a Moabite. His wife died. Is he allowed to marry her? Her husband died. He should marry her, not marry her. The whole debate in the Sanhedrin. Ooh, big raging debate. A Moabite woman, is she allowed to join the Jewish people? And the Sanhedrin, no, she can't. Yes, she can. Finally, Boaz says, yes, she can. And he convinces everybody he can marry her. And he marries her. And then what happens? He dies the next morning. How do you like that? Even the least cynical person reading the data, you could, you can't, you could, you can't, you could, good, dead. Right? Even the most cynical person was like, well, I guess not. I mean, can you imagine two guys sitting at a table? It's kosher, it's not kosher. It's kosher, it's not kosher. I'm telling you it's kosher. Okay, it's kosher. See, it says OR in it. It's kosher. Right? OR, Orthodox. It's kosher. It's under supervision. Oh, yeah, I'm telling you it's not. It is, it's not. It is. Okay, it is. Guy takes a bite and he chokes to death. Right? First bite. Well, I guess not. I guess not. It should have been Machmir. Right? So you got Yehuda and Tamar. A little bit, I don't know. Boaz and Rus. And he kind of meets her at the grainer. And the whole thing is a little bit dodgy. She comes from Moab. The whole thing. Then you got who? You got finally Dovid HaMelech comes along. And what happens? He marries this woman Bathsheba. Gets her husband killed so that he can marry her. The whole story. And what comes out of that relationship? Shlomo HaMelech. And that's the Messianic line. Whoa. I mean, everywhere you touch it, it looks like a soap opera here. Right? What happened over here? You couldn't come up with a better. I mean, you have Mashiach. You know, the mother went to Beis Yaakov, the father's from Panovich, and they got Mashiach. That'll be the best way to work it. What's going on here? So the Al Sheikh HaKodesh says the concept. You can't ask me any questions. I'll just tell you what he says because it's Kabbalistic, and I don't know the first thing about it. I'm just telling you what the Al Sheikh says. There are certain neshamas in the world that are so lofty, they're so holy. I know this sounds like something out of a Shlomo Carlebach song, but it's not. There are certain neshamas in the world. There are certain neshamas in the world which are so lofty that the spiritual negative forces object and try to block their emergence in this world. One of those neshamas is the neshama of Mashiach. The only way this neshama could possibly get into the world and get to where it needs to through all of these various chains, the various stations it has to go through, is if it's camouflaged, because they can be deceived. These spiritual forces could be deceived. The only way to deceive them is to hide this neshama in relationships which are they're okay, but they certainly don't look like they're lechatchila. So when these spiritual negative forces see the neshama in that relationship, as soon as they see the relationship, they figure, well, there's no work to be done over here, guys. Nothing good's going to come out of this. So it starts with Lot and his daughters in the cave. Well, let's go find some other work somewhere else. Then you go to Yehuda and Tamar. Well, nothing positive is going to happen here. Then you go to Dovid HaMelech and Bathsheba, all the way through, they're being deceived, so that ultimately the neshama of Mashiach could emerge. That's why Mashiach, everywhere you look in the relations, the crossroad relationships of Mashiach, the cornerstone, all you're always going to ever see in these places is that it looks like, you needed in order to show why it was okay. Right? There's something about it that was always what the English called dodgy or dodgy. as the case may be, right? Something, and that's a way of doji, right? That's a way of hiding these neshamas. The simple reason, there's a plain reason. The Gemara says in Yuma, the Gemara says you should never appoint the leader of a city unless he has what's called, the Gemara says, unless he has a box of reptiles behind him, which is what we call skeleton in the closet. The leader should always have skeletons in the closet, because if he doesn't have skeletons in the closet, if he's too much of a purebred and his pedigree is too good, then he it might go to his head. He has to be kept humble. And the way that Mashiach will be able to relate to everybody when the Mashiach comes, will be able to relate to everybody because he himself has some skeletons in his closet. He comes from these relationships, he'll be able to relate to the lowest person. That's the plain meaning. So over here, Lot, his daughter gets pregnant, and the second one has a son called Ben Ami, and he is the son of Ammon. Now, I want you to go back for a second. I skipped the point, but I'm going to tell you a story that's going to knock your socks off. Take a look at page 88, back to Patrick Kane. And if you look at 4 lines from the bottom, this I heard from my brother, it's remarkable. This isn't what I want. I'm going to tell you one after this. They'll knock your socks off, but to keep your socks on in the meantime. When God destroyed these towns, he remembered Avram. He remembered Avram, so he saved Lot. I mean, it should say he remembered Lot. Why would I say he remembered Avram, so he saved Lot? That makes sense. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, it's the last line on the second column. Last line, left column, second line. Vayizkar Elokim es Avraham. Everybody see it? Mahu zichiroso shel Avram. What does it mean he remembered Avram? Says the Gemara, Alot nizkar. He remembers regarding Lot. What did he remember? Shehaya Lot yodea shesara ishto shel Avram. Lot knew the truth that Sarah is Avram's wife. Vishama Avram bar Mitzrayim al Sarah achosihi. He heard Avram say, she's my sister. V'lo gila hadovar. He didn't reveal it. Shayachas olav. He had mercy on Avram Avinu. Leficha chas HaKadosh Baruch Hu olav. Therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu had mercy on him. I mean, oh, what a tzaddik. What a tzaddik. He didn't rat out Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, he comes in, he says, it's my wife. He says, oh no, it's actually his sister. Oh, you snitcher. Right? Oh, he didn't snitch. What a great man. He didn't snitch. Right? We don't regard it that way. A guy doesn't snitch. Not snitching is the given. And when you snitch, you did something bad. It's not like I didn't snitch, so I did so. What a tzaddik, he didn't snitch. Right? Well, what are you snitching? What? That's it. Oh, because of that, you had mercy on Avram. He didn't snitch. No, you weren't a Russia, so you didn't snitch. That's what's a mercy. That saved them. So why is that such a credit for Lot? It's a good question, isn't it? You know what the answer is? A great answer. What was the relationship, gentlemen? What did he hear Avram say? He said, she's my sister. And what did Avram get as a result? He got a lot of money. Who was the real brother? Lot was Sarah's brother. Oh, so you say, now this is already tough. The guy comes in and he lies. Oh, she's my sister. No kidding. Here you go. Gold, silver, whatever you want. And Lot's sitting there like, she's my sister. You're watching somebody march off with your money. That's money that he should be getting. And you did, that's mercy. Now that already is mercy. That's already a test. That's a test. For that, you deserve to be saved. Right? It's a good answer. It's a good answer. That's already put there. You weren't just some guy who said, I'm going to get you in trouble now because of the time you hit me with the airplane. So that was why I'm going to snitch you. No, you gave up the money. That's all right. Now, I want to tell you something. This is brought down in the Sefer of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein in the Igros Moshe in the introduction. You know the story. It's an unbelievable story. There was a man, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein became a Rav when he was 19. At 19, he was a Rav of a time. He wasn't even married yet. Didn't get married till he was 26, 27. He was the Rav of a city called Luban in White Russia. He was a Rav at 19. And we have already correspondences that he wrote when he was 19, 20 years old, halachic correspondences in the area of allowing women to remarry when their husbands have disappeared. He wasn't just answering questions about Yala V'Yavo. Right? We have stuff that he wrote then from 19. He was answering already the most complex halachic shilas. So Rabbi Moshe writes, there was a man in his town who developed a very some sort of strange ailment. His tongue was swelling up. And the man said, they came in, Rabbi Moshe, he was on his deathbed. And Rabbi Moshe came in, and the man said, I think I know why this happened. I was learning Parshas Vayeira, and got to the section of Lot and his daughters, and I started making some negative comments about Lot's daughters and their behavior. I started making some negative comments. And then all of a sudden, I went to sleep at night, and in my dream, I saw two women coming towards me, two older women. And they said, we're Lot's daughters. And what we did was L'Shem Shemayim. And the reason we did what we did is because we knew that at some point in history, there's going to be a story, people are going to spread about an immaculate conception for their Messiah. That the Messiah was impregnated, the woman became pregnant from what's called the Immaculate Conception. And that nonsense, we wanted to make sure that it never spread in the world, because our Mashiach, we want everybody to know that he comes from a human father of flesh and blood. And therefore we publicize the fact of what we did so that people should know that there's no such thing as the nonsense about a Messiah. The real Mashiach is one that comes from a father of flesh and blood. And our intent was all L'Shem Shemayim, he shouldn't have disparaged us. And the women disappeared. He said as soon as they disappeared in his dream, his tongue started swelling because he spoke Lashon Hara about them, and then he died. A few minutes later, he died. Rabbi Moshe writes that he doesn't say that the story is true, but he says there is certainly grounds to believe the story is true. It rings of truth. He didn't say it's true. He said it rings true. The story rings true. So the reason that they publicized it, and he said Moav means from my father. Why? Because we knew that at some point in history there's going to be a story about an immaculate conception, and we wanted to dispel the myth before the myth ever started. The truth of the matter is that in the United States in what year was it? 1970, when did they say? Early 70s, there was something called the Immaculate Reception. The Immaculate Reception was a game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Oakland Raiders. And on the last play of the game, Pittsburgh threw a desperation pass. And Jack Tatum knocked the ball down. And it was the last play of the game. Game's over, Pittsburgh loses. And he knocked the ball down, and Franco Harris, who was a rookie, caught the ball, picked it up about 6 inches off the ground, and he ran it in for a touchdown. And it was called the Immaculate Reception, right? And every 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid in America at that point, if you would have said, any Catholic kid you'd have said, what is the Immaculate Conception? He would have said to you, Franco Harris. and the only thing I can tell you about it is there's a lot more truth to the story of Franco Harris than there is about the other one. All right, we'll see you on Wednesday. Call it the Immaculate Reception. That's the name of it. Yes, Mayor.